Veteran Trash Talk, we actually vet our sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a Butterbar lieutenant lost on a land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran and their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. The first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. And that's the only dude. Right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties, not Ranger panties, but Ranger instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. ready to go.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to episode 27 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is retired Major General Luong, and as usual, I'm here with Buddy and the Big Earl. Happy Saturday. And
Gorgeous Saturday. Pumped.
Before we get the show kick started, we got a service announcement from the UPS for Buddy.
No, the USPS. The USPS.
USPS. UPS.
Oh, it's Chris's mom.
Did he really say UPS?
Yeah.
Well, he's from Germany. He doesn't get it.
Chris's mom is the only person at the USPS that works. Just so everybody
I'm just saying.
Chris's mom is here for you, buddy.
Let me give some background to our guest and to the people watching. Buddy was complaining about how one of the greatest programs in United States history, the USPS, and all the great employees that they have and the work that they do, said that they weren't cutting it and that the private industry should take them over because he lost the package. Well, I always want to bring this up that, I'm pretty sure Carrie's going to tell us just how valuable the USPS is and what they were able to do for Buddy. Go ahead, Carrie. Welcome to the Trash Talk.
They weren't able to do anything for me, first of all.
Hey, can you let Carrie talk?
He
This is
did
breaking news. You're already triggered.
So I just need to go on record here from the very start. At no time have I ever had my hands on Buddy's package.
Never.
Flat out. Okay.
Good to know.
With that said, I can tell you that the reason his package was delayed, and I think I sent the picture of it to Chris. If you see on the tracking, the barcode, everything is automated now. And where they put that barcode and how they covered it up with the plastic, compromised the barcode, which slowed down and delayed the processing. That's what took so long.
So what you're telling me is that a piece of plastic. We have gone from rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Nothing stops the U.S. mail to rain, snow, sleet, or hail. Just don't put cellophane over the barcode and we're all right.
Oh, come on now. It didn't stop it. It just slowed it down. You got it. I showed that you got it at April 7th at 3:18 p.m. It was put in your hands.
I did get it. I will tell you that I was waiting on April 7th because you had told me that it was supposed to be there. And I walked out my front door and my mail carrier walked by and he handed me my mail. And he said, "Oh, there's a package in the truck." And then he dropped off the other mail. He went back to his truck, got in the driver's door, started it up and started to drive off. And I ran over and I was like, "My package, can I get my package?" And he was like, "Oh," I was like, I know it's 26 pounds, so I'll grab it for you. Thanks. And then took it inside. So the woes did not end with until
unfortunately no, and I can't fix everybody, but I've spent the last 39 years of my postal career trying to make sure that people like you stay happy, and I'll continue to do so. So if you guys need me, I'm here.
I will say my dad also retired from the post office after he retired from the Army. So
I just wanted to bring it out there that Chris's mom, we love you, we appreciate you, and the level of support you've given Buddy in his time of need was better than UPS or FedEx could ever do. So we appreciate you, Chris's mom.
Yes.
Anytime.
All you need is to have Chris's mom's phone number if you need to track your package, because the website doesn't do it very well. So
Chris is authorized to share it with anybody who needs it, and I love you guys
We'll just
too.
go ahead and put it on the screen. Chris, if you could just put it on the screen right now so that all the listeners just call Chris's mom. Where's my package?
He says no.
I got you.
He said no. Okay.
Well, thanks for stopping by, Chris's mom. You enjoy San Diego and how beautiful it is down there. Yep.
Love you guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.
All right.
All right.
There's your update,
That
buddy.
was at least the surprise. First of all, I would like to go on record for saying that I figured it out well before it happened.
You were half right. You were
Yep.
half right.
And
You're half right.
and secondly, at least it was a pleasant surprise. All I knew it was that it was a woman, and I was gonna be embarrassed, and I was like, "Whew, there's a long list that could have been." Like, all right, let's.
You wouldn't do that.
This is on the internet, guys. Let's not do anything stupid. Like, please, please, God.
This will be here forever. Stop it. Yeah.
Please.
Not on Facebook. They deleted it after 3 months now, so we're good. But yeah. All right, Dave, what do we got?
All right. Yeah, let's I went up pretty easy on the conspiracy today that I searched up. It's actually pretty interesting. Have you guys heard of Stephen Kubacki, who disappeared by Lake Michigan and then was found like a year and a half later and has no recollection of what happened? So there's a conspiracy around it that, he did it on purpose. He did it himself.
I mean,
to
Steve
just, get
Kubacki
away
is
from
definitely
life.
a Wisconsin or Michigan name. That's for sure. So
the other conspiracy is the Michigan Triangle. There's a lot of planes who have mysteriously disappeared in the past and ships and everything. So we're going to play the video and we're going to discuss it. Go ahead, Chris.
I will never understand how someone could just vanish into thin air only to reappear a year later, but with no memory of what happened to them or where they were that entire time. Stephen Kubacki was a college student in 1978 when he left out of Saugatuck, Michigan on a solo cross-country skiing trip. It was a frigid February day on Lake Michigan when two snowboarders came across a pair of abandoned skis. Just past the skis was a path of footprints in the snow leading right over to the lakeshore before they ended abruptly. After an extensive search, 23-year-old Stephen was nowhere to be found. It was determined that he must have fallen into the lake's icy waters and drowned since there were no footprints leading back. Some responding officers even believed that this was an intentional plot to end his own life because of the way Stephen's belongings were left behind in such an organized manner. The Kubacki family mourned Stephen's death, and his college had a memorial service for him, even issuing a diploma in his absence. 15 months later, Stephen woke up in a field in Massachusetts, about 700 miles directly east from where he had disappeared. He was wearing clothes he didn't recognize and appeared disoriented and confused. He also claimed to have found a backpack nearby filled with maps he wasn't familiar with, as well as a t-shirt from a Wisconsin marathon. After this, he walked out to a nearby road where a motorist picked him up and took him to the nearest payphone so he could call his family. On the phone, Stephen told his family that he couldn't remember anything about the day he went missing on the lakeshore or anything that had occurred in the past 15 months. He also told them that it felt like he had just finished running a marathon. Michigan State Police tried to piece the story together as best as they could, but it seemed that every avenue they explored came to a dead end, and what happened to Stephen still remains a mystery to this day. Theories about Stephen's disappearance and reappearance range from things like alien abduction, a glitch in the Matrix, or maybe even amnesia. Some even suggest that he may have fallen victim to the Lake Michigan Triangle, which is associated with many other strange disappearances that I can touch on in another video. Others have suggested that he may have attempted to fake his own death, but reappeared when things didn't pan out the way he hoped. What do you think happened to Stephen Kubacki? Let me know in the comments and follow me for more spooky stories.
It troubles me that you follow these types of things, Dave.
I gotta look them up for the show every single week. I gotta come up with something. I found this one pretty interesting. There's hundreds of videos on it. I personally don't think like aliens or anything crazy. I think probably maybe like a mental disorder. But I don't know how you disappear for 15 months. So maybe not the mental disorder. Maybe he just wanted to get away from life. I don't know how he survived financially, so I don't know like how were his parents well off. He was a college kid, obviously, so like how are you going to survive for 15 months on your own? But I'm just going to say he tried to get away from life and his current situation, school, and everything, and just said I'm going to go on a little trip for 15 months. Turned out it didn't pan out for him. Ran to a phone and then called his parents and said, "Hey, here I am. I don't know what happened," because he was obviously embarrassed that he ran away. And yeah, that's my take. I don't really know what else to say on this one. It's weird, man. It's weird.
I mean, if he was financially strapped, how did he go to the marathon? Those aren't free. They charge for those, Dave. You got
that was one of my first.
Also, not a huge deal.
I don't know, man.
The
Well, what's your
craziness
take?
of having to pay
What's
to run
everybody's
a
take on this?
marathon
What you got?
always blows my mind as well.
What's your take then, buddy?
Oh, my take?
Well,
Well,
sir, you
got
can
me
go
as soon
first
as
if you want. You can give
as
us
soon
your
as they
take
said
on
that
what happened to this individual.
as soon as they said he got his diploma, like they gave him a diploma, I was like, oh, he didn't want to do finals. That dude was like, fine, I'll just go spend that. Or there's a possibility he secretly joined the army, went to Iraq for 12 months, got extended for 3 months, and then just disappeared, stayed there, and then came back. It was like, I don't remember anything. Never know.
Well, maybe not the army, but maybe go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a little bit of delay, so.
You're good. What were you saying, sir?
No, I was just saying it's not incredulous for me. I mean, you guys spoke about Bravo Company, right? It's similar to a couple of Bravo Company guys who, have gotten DUIs and were facing a Article 15, and those are similar stories that I hear, right?
Yeah.
Coming in and it's like, hey, sir, I just disappeared for 15 months and can't remember anything in between.
So
Right?
I was at Sharky's, and then a stripper put something in my drink, and then I popped hot for cocaine. I don't know, and then I just went AWOL for 15 months.
Yeah, maybe he joined a cult. Maybe he joined a cult or something, and then left the cult and was embarrassed about that. I don't know. It's a weird one. Nick, what do you got? What do you think?
Yeah, there's a lot of holes in this. I like there isn't any reason that we should care about this Kubaki guy.
Yeah.
Chewbacca,
of course.
I guess how you pronounce
right?
it.
Chewbacca.
Like that's the main problem is who cares where he went?
Yeah.
Like and who cares what he did? He's just some Youper, which I like I said, I'm from Wisconsin, and Youpers are already crazy. Like they live in. It's beautiful for like 2 months out of the year, and then it's miserable. So it's like, I mean, maybe he just cracked, because he obviously cracked because he was like, I'm going to go cross country skiing across Lake Michigan by myself.
Yeah,
All
apparently
right, stupid.
there's like a whole documentary on him. Apparently he did that all the time. So he was like,
well, that's all you can do up there. So like I said, maybe he was like, I'm going to go blow off some steam. You know what? F all of this. This sucks. I'm going east. All right. Everybody went west for a good time. I'm going to reverse it. I'm going east. And then he found out that Massachusetts is just as cold, and he just went to sleep in the field. And there's other holes that nobody runs marathons in Wisconsin. Nobody runs marathons in Wisconsin, so that didn't even happen. There's no shirts from that.
That's a fact.
We drink
right?
beer and eat cheese.
You're a pretty good runner, Nick. You're a pretty good runner.
Well, that's because I left Wisconsin, right? Like, but. And then I like the cliffhanger where she could tell you more, but maybe in a different video.
Oh yeah, of course. That's how they all.
Those of you who don't know the Great
Lakes,
the Great Lakes have a tremendous body count because of how big they are, and they have when they get storms, it's like 6 to 10 foot waves, but they come from every direction.
Yeah.
So it can really beat up a small vessel and take one down pretty quickly. Like so.
Yeah, Megan just said she looked him up. Yeah, he is. That is correct. He is a psychologist in Seattle. So the dude is.
Man, so see, that's all. It's a story made up to make his firm bigger. That's all it is. Like, why should I care about Stephen Kubaki? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know. Chewbacca.
Oh. Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was semi-interesting, but.
What was his honorary degree? And is he a psychologist with an honorary degree? Does he even have a degree? Like
he got a degree.
He got a degree while he was missing. They went ahead and gave him his degree.
Gotta run with it. No take backs. Yeah. No take back.
Interesting.
Nope.
Yeah. All right. Well. Yeah. So I got a quick book of Earl today. It could spin off into a lot of things, but we're not going to do that. But today's book of Earl comes from a sermon given years ago on the Mount of Earl. All right. And it was, when I was coaching and teaching people how to become a Facebook troll, a social media troll, right? How to excel at it, how to, just dominate people with verbal, written, typed haymakers on social media platforms. And one of the things that I had to warn everybody about was, to be a top social media troll, thou must acknowledge being trolled and quickly delete or edit the comments once you are trolled. Because I have been trolled. And I'm glad Megan's on. Like, Megan trolled me one time.
Oh, she did. Yep.
And I didn't even know, she wasn't even trying to. But that's the level of game that you got to be ready for, right? And that's just explaining it. Like, she wasn't even trying to troll me, but she did. And I had to reread it. And I quickly deleted the comment. That's what I'm saying. You got to delete it. Don't try to dig at the same hole through and through on social media, right? Once you find out you've been being trolled, just delete it. All records are gone. And then it's just hearsay. Megan come on back. I trolled you that one time. I'm like, show it. Right? Nope. It's been deleted. But people will hang on. And we're seeing a lot of this with the stock market. All right. I have been a Facebook terrorist on the stock market. And again, I go after both sides. So Facebook's algorithm doesn't know who I am. But again, the people commenting on social media right now, I'm going to do one of those fake numbers because 84% of all stats are made up on the spot. I'm going to go 98% of the people commenting, good or bad, on the stock market don't have any money in it. All right. They have zero clue on what's going on. And it is absolutely fascinating to me that you think that capitalism doesn't win when it comes to the stock market. And the stock market is not the economy. So I just want everybody out there to be careful and just understand the Book of Earl when it says when you're being trolled, once you find out that you're being trolled, all right, if you want to become a successful troll yourself, you have to be able to acknowledge it, that you do get defeated sometimes. And then you just have to delete all records. All right, delete everything. Okay, just like Hillary Clinton. So that's where I'm going to stick with that. She knew she was caught. She's a master troll, and she cut it. So that's the short Book of Earl for today. So,
Buddy, introduce our guest.
Oh, okay, I got it. So I have to look it up. He was the commander of the 2505. I'm just trying to figure out which commander. Are you the one that had to change boots in the middle of a 25-miler in Egypt because you wore new boots and had to get a soldier to get? That's not you. The Smith. Nope, that's not you either. All right. Anyway, our guest today is Major General Viet Luong, who is the first Vietnamese-born general in the United States Army. So he went from Tan Son Nhut to being a major general in the U.S. Army. Which, if you can't find, basically there should be like an eagle and the Star Spangled Banner behind him wherever he's going. The epitome of or epitome, if you will, of the American dream. So he was the 2505's commander when we went to Iraq with you guys in Katrina, and then Iraq in 06, 07. And then his career got kind of rocky.
kind of went down.
Had to go to 3rd Brigade of the 101st. It was a Rakkasans. I'm surprised you have a tattoo somewhere on his face of the freaking.
No, you can see the Tory up there. The Tory's right behind him.
Yeah, there he is. It's somewhere in the picture. It always is. Rakkasan everywhere. But basically, his bio is too long to read out. We wouldn't have enough time on the show. Super smart, super great commander. He's got a lot of degrees, got a lot of everything else. So without further ado, Colonel Luong. My bad, General Luong. Sorry.
You'll always be
You'll always be a colonel in my heart, sir.
That's my favorite rank and my favorite position. But what a blessing to be among you all again, right? And again, looking back at my career, I tell people all the time, it's just aside from getting promoted to flag rank, which is a pretty prestigious honor for me personally, coming from a refugee background and all that, but it gets back to my time with you all, and if people were to ask me to encapsulate what defined my success, it would be serving as a battalion commander with a lot of great folks. I have not run into another unit with such talent, and I pride myself on being a good commander, but I think our unit was great was because of our NCOs, and I tell that to everybody. the NCOs we had definitely led from the front, not only through a very challenging domestic operation, which is very strategic during Katrina, but just be able to do what we did in combat to serve our nation honorably. It gets back down to that. I don't know if you all are aware. This is the 50th anniversary. This month is the 50th anniversary of the fall of Vietnam, and I'm scheduled to speak a couple of times this month, later on this month, to commemorate the fall, but also to commemorate the service and sacrifices of all our Vietnam vets. And 50 years ago, my family, all 8 of us, eight siblings and our parents, barely escaped, from certain death. My father was a Marine officer in the Vietnamese Marine, and he knew the country was falling pretty in pretty near term, and we were assisted by a few of his friends, CIA guys and a couple of media folks, and they got us papers to go to Tan Son Nhut, and we were supposed to fly by commercial air onto the ships of the 7th Fleet. And then when we got there, we found out that we were surrounded by communist forces. They started shelling us with 105s and 60 mortars, and we knew that they were pretty close. And then they started bombing us. And they, after that, they shut down the airstrip, and we thought for sure we were doomed, and we had lost all hope. And then lo and behold, the U.S. government decided to execute Operation Frequent Wind, which is, one of the largest NEOs since World War II, to evacuate all the South Vietnamese allies that we had in Vietnam. And my family was very fortunate to be able to escape. And I remember that very vividly, even as a 9-year-old kid, right? Coming out of there and, landing on the decks of the USS Hancock, which is a helicopter carrier, was one of the really momentous occasion of my life, right? And it marked a new beginning for me. It marked the end of Vietnam, but also a beginning for me and my family as Americans. And I get emotional talking about it. When I was your commander, I probably didn't talk all that much about that because, it wasn't the time and place, but I would tell you, I get to speak about my experience quite a bit, but I never miss an opportunity, right? To say 2 things. Always accentuate the highlights of serving with you all, the sacrifices of our 23 brothers that we lost in Iraq. And then also, what a great country we live in, right? It's like I don't care, how talented you may be or how lucky you might be, but if you're not giving those opportunities, right, and treated with dignity and fairness, especially coming from a foreign land without anything but the shirts on your back, you cannot be successful. So I attribute most of my success, and not just me, but all my sisters and all the stuff that they've done in their lives, right? And how successful they are. I attribute it to our nation, first and foremost, right? So I tell people all the time, I don't jack around when it comes to, my views as an American. I can be overwhelming. I'm extremely patriotic. And when it comes to defending this nation, I don't take a backseat to anybody. Nobody, right? And we joke about it, a few weeks ago, I was with a couple of your brothers, right? From Alpha Company, Drury and Flo, and I would put my uniform back today to defend our Constitution and our way of life, and I think it's a travesty that some folks take it for granted, and it's a travesty that some folks take the time to only accentuate on the flaws that we have as a nation. But I've been around the globe, guys. There is no single nation that's greater than ours. So I'll leave it at that. But if you guys have any questions or comments, certainly we can have a conversation. But I don't want this to be about me, but I do want my story to be the story of this nation, right? And it's a nation of immigrants. All your forefathers came here as immigrants, but I don't see myself as a Vietnamese. I see myself as an American, and my forefathers are the same ones that fought for our freedom during the Revolutionary War. Even though I'm not related to them by blood or by DNA or any of that stuff. But I just wanted the opportunity to tell folks that.
I would argue, first of all, that you are the guest. The show is about you, sir. So we are going to make it about you, just so you know. But I don't think I've ever. I mean, we didn't talk a whole lot when you were the commander. Something about you being a commander and me not being a commander. So we. But I remember at one point, my dad's a Vietnam vet. He was there twice. I think once in '68 and then once in '65. I think. Anyway, but I told him that we had a Vietnamese commander, and it was funny to me that his reply to it was like, don't we live in a great country? Like, isn't that a great thing? He was actually super proud that of anything that may have come out of Vietnam. At least there were people that had come from Vietnam that had made it and were doing great things for, well, the army and for themselves. So like I said, I don't know that I know that I never told you that, because that would not have been a conversation that we would have had 15 years, 20 years ago. But that's a real thing. And then the other thing a question that I had for you is, like, having your background as a veteran, and then having your background as a refugee coming from Vietnam, especially the way that you did. How did you, as a major general, and I think at that point retired major general, how did you deal with the like the withdrawal from Afghanistan and seeing a very similar story, 40 or 50 years after your story had started?
Yeah, no, I was really depressed for months after that. I'm not sure how you all felt. We fought in Afghanistan. Obviously, I was with the Rakkasans, and then later on, I came back with First Cav as the commanding general of TAC South there in Kandahar, and we lost a few troopers as well on that eastern border. We fought pretty hard, and with attachments and everything, I had about 7,000 soldiers, and of course, in totality, we believed that we had done great things. It was a team effort, obviously, with our colleagues from USAID and Department of State, and we were generally trying to make things better. And in terms of security operations, I thought we had established a really great, set of conditions for the other lines of effort, particularly the infrastructure building and governance to prosper. And then to see it go downhill that fast, and just reminiscent, right? Those people, God bless them. Pretty hard.
Yeah, it's a weight that I explain to people that when you have tactical commanders, it's a weight that you carry and you're showing. It's extremely understandable, and it's going to kind of, what I wanted to get into is, when you fight that hard as a Joe, you don't see, like, you're seeing your sector of fire, right? Yeah. And you're staying in it, and sometimes that's all you see, right? And then until some squad leader hits you on the head and says, "Hey, over there too, dummy," it's like you're just you're staying there. Commanders, and again, anytime you talk about veterans or anybody, there's bad ones and there's good ones, right? The good, more good than bad, but the good commanders, you guys carry a lot of weight, and we don't really talk about that much. We don't usually have. We've had a few retired generals on the show, but mostly more retired senior enlisted. But the weight that carried. What I wanted to say to kind of talk about that was, I was very, very new to 2505. I got there, I think, about 2 months before we deployed to Samara. And like, that's where Dave was a team leader in the platoon. And then, you were the battalion commander. Again, like Buddy says, I definitely didn't have any real conversations because I was a brand new, private in there. And I just did whatever somebody told me, and I ran as fast as I could. But my entire military career after that unit was phenomenal because of that unit. I saw what right was, and I used it all the time. and I go, hey, look, I was like, you're going to run into units where it's not right. It doesn't mean you do it wrong, but it's hard for first-term soldiers to re-enlist because they see it wrong.
Yeah.
They don't see the way it's done right. And I want to give you as much credit as you, and I know you'll be modest and humble about it, but what you deserve, and whether it was inherited a little bit and you built on it or it was changed, I'm guessing the long lineage of great commanders from 2P that it was, you just keep making the smaller improvements and keep making it better and better and better.
I was time. There was some not so great ones before
the
the 0506
Don't
deployment.
ruin my good story, buddy. Okay, I wasn't there. All right, they didn't tarnish mine.
Yeah.
But,
there was some shady ones. Yeah.
And then you see where those officers that were under you as captains that you were mentoring, well, you were mentoring lieutenants, and you see where some of those lieutenants are now and how they've done such wonderful things. But I wanted to bring up that fight, that we had in Iraq, and when you were there, and I bring this up, and you replied to me once on Facebook that you keep bringing it up, but when I talk about like Cuervo, getting the Medal of Honor, and I always, I'll put that on the 3rd Brigade page, and you replied on there, I appeal for that. Like, we've done that before on this show. Tell me how that works. Do we just get told to pound sand on that? Or is it like we bring that up and we hope for the best? What is something like that? How does that go?
Yeah, we've done that several times. There's a process. And again, I'm only part of that. The first step of that process is recognizing that somebody was awarded something that was probably, beneath, what they should have gotten. And we did a review there several years ago on Moser and Corrigal, right? On that action on that top of that building in Samara. And Captain, now Brigadier General Ferris, was instrumental to that. So we all pitched in and made sure that we submitted everything, and all the write-ups, was really commensurate to a package worthy of the Medal of Honor. And after that, it goes to a board, and we don't have any kind of transparency on where exactly the board is. I know it goes through division, 82nd Airborne and Corps and all that stuff, and all the way up to the Department of the Army. In terms of the board that actually determines the merit of that, it's probably somewhere in HQDA, but again, I don't have clarity on that process, but I don't think it's something that we should give up on, because, people, it's never too late. I mean, you would rather somebody be awarded, as soon as they've earned it, but many awards are retroactive, right? In terms of the upgrades and stuff like that. We have people from Vietnam barely are recognizing, or recognized for their valor and been awarded since then, and some posthumously. But I think that whole system, though, needs to probably be revamped and relooked at. If I had the opportunity to talk to more senior level leaders, and that would be one of the things that I would advocate for, is that a more sort of transparent process where we all can see.
Yeah, we had a Vietnam veteran on here.
Yeah, General Klein retired, and and Tom Campbell retired. We're doing that. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, well, I forgot. It wasn't a Medal of Honor, though. It was do you remember what it was, Nick?
Well, they got him a silver. They got him a bronze star, but they want to do it for a Medal of Honor as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were talking about the bureaucracy and like the mess, turning into these awards and how they get kicked back and stuff. There just needs to be more oversight on that whole system.
And the crazy thing was that guys got kicked back because the company commander that signed it didn't have assumption of command orders, because it was a lieutenant, because everyone was dead.
Yeah, anybody that could validate his story.
Anybody can submit an award. Anybody can submit an award. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the company. A private can submit an award if they witness something. It was just a mess.
I think that what General Luong just said is, it's 100% true. The awards, the standard for awards across the Army is so up and down, and there's no real standard for what award is given for what. And then the awards process can be also, there's no standard really for it almost. Like, when we were in the 82nd or whatever, we wrote up an award. There's an awards form. It goes to people that are in command, and they either say yes or no, downgrade, don't downgrade, raise it, don't raise it, whatever. You got the write up. But you can go to other units like the 5th group. When I left there, we got people that got kicked back. Their awards got kicked back, not from anybody in the actual approval process, like the formal approval process, but an awards board had kicked it back, and like it was an Intel E7 that had never even deployed was kicking back awards, and it's like, my man, like you're not even there. B, it doesn't take any money out of your paycheck to award somebody an award for doing what they did. Like it's insane to me. The process.
Yeah, there's just stipulations that are set in place. Like I remember Captain Goldtree, well, now whatever rank he is, but at the time, Lieutenant Goldtree, he had 2 Purple Hearts before he even got his CIB. And I know that wasn't on you, sir, but the stipulation back
that
then
was
you had to get
on MNDB North, bro.
yeah, you had to get shot at and then you had to return fire. But then like our second deployment when we went to Baghdad, a mortar dropped and everybody got cabs and CIBs. So it's just like it just shows you how messed up that entire system is, you know?
I think if that whole process were just to be all green tab channels, I think it would be a quicker and more I think
efficient
efficient and an equitable process, because you joke about that. You see, sometimes you don't see the bureaucracy that I fight. It's just like I'll give you one example, right? I don't know, and Dave, you're pretty young. I think you were an E5, but I fight for things like not all squad leaders, but select squad leaders and platoon sergeants getting bronze stars, right? Because it's a service award. It's not it's not for it's not for valor, unless it's got a V. Same thing for lieutenants. And I got some pushback. From others, and a lot of them were not green tabbers. A lot of them were admin guys who were of equal or greater rank, and just said, well, no, that's not the case, because it's got to be commensurate with the things they're doing. And I'm like, okay, my squad leaders are leading like 250 freaking patrols, dude, in Samara, right?
Yeah.
How is that not worth a bronze star? Or my lieutenants are dying and fighting and dying. I got dudes who are winning silver stars. I like Goldtree, and you're telling me they don't deserve a bronze star because it's I would rather give it to this captain who's on my staff. So there are a lot of things I didn't agree with. Even with the CIB, it wasn't your platoon. Your platoon could have gotten 10 CIBs over, right? But it was one of the platoons in front of them. Maybe in 3rd platoon, but they were in like an engaged combat. We were like dropping bombs. We were like executing CCA and doing all kinds of stuff. And so we just submit the whole roster with with the storyboards for CIBs for everybody. And the question I got back from the G1. You guys look up to see who the G1 was. The G1, not 82nd G1, the unit we were attached to was. I was going to say that, but did everybody fire their weapons? That's the question I got back, Colonel Long. Did everybody fire their weapon? I'm like, are you out of your mind? And so I have to call brigade commander and CG, and they're like, no, this is like ridiculous. So sometimes that's the way it is, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't have to. It should go all the way through the chain. And let the decision maker, even after all the recommendations, on an award may be unfavorable, let it go to the man that's going to make a decision. That would be my vote, because just like anything, including punishment for, Article 15 or, letters of reprimand, right? A lot of time it goes up to me, and I although I do not like doing it, because sometimes when you reverse an officially filed letter of reprimand, you may undermine that chain of command. But you got to do what you got to do, And I've reversed a few, right? I'm not perfect, but I think when you have green tabbers involved, and green tabbers who were one-time trigger pullers, and kind of know how it's like. But we got a lot of work to do. But I think we got great leadership, by the way. I think General George, the chief of staff, is a good friend of mine. You know, General Pappas, 373, he's the Force Com commander. So we got really great leaders. General Corolla, who's a really close friend of mine, he's at CENTCOM. So I think we got a lot of great folks now in the right positions, and a lot of them saw combat, like a lot of combat. So
Right.
it's I think it's good for the force to see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, now I brought up that story before we got on the award tangent, which I started. I was kind of giving a little background to the listeners and viewers that at my young point in the career, I had a blast on that deployment because I was just a machine gunner. So yeah. I got to, get a day off here and there, as Bravo team went out, Alpha team got to stay back, or whatever, if it was a mounted patrol, and I just got to, hey, shoot over there, no problem. Right. So like it was, but the squad leaders and platoon sergeants were, they aged. I remember just looking at their faces from 15 months prior to afterwards, they had aged, 10 years. And it was like they hadn't slept, and they were doing all that. But what I was getting to was with that story to the listeners is that we believed that you always had our backs.
Sure.
And we believe that, and that came down, the trickle down effect of that to where every leader was held to a standard, right? Because if the boss is going to do it, then you're going to do it. Right. And it's like, how hard everybody's fighting and doing all that. How much did that, like I said, it carried over for me for most of my career to where I did a lot and I used a lot of what I learned in 2P all the way at every other unit I went to. How much did that carry over when you got higher in ranks? And then when you got out, like just talk about that. Was there a culture shock for you too in certain years? Obviously you don't have to say which ones they are, but like, was it like, oh, I have to start over? Or
before you hit on that, I want to hit on something Nick mentioned when it comes to the care of soldiers. I was talking to my wife about this earlier that you were coming on the show, and what stood out for me the most with you, because Nick got there right before Samara. What stood out for me the most was during PT in the mornings, and we're all in PTs. Nobody has their uniform on, and you're literally walking through all the formations, talking to all the soldiers, knowing their first name, knowing the names of their kids, what sporting events they might have, being able to hold full-blown conversations, just being really involved in the person aspect of it all. And I think that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we're going to fight for this guy. We're going to do whatever because you genuinely cared. And that meant a lot to me. And comparing you to a lot of battalion commanders, you're the top one I had for sure. I just wanted to add that, but you can go ahead and answer that question now.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate the kind remarks. I don't think about it, guys, when I'm talking to you guys. You already know that I'm exceptionally hard on officers because I tell them all the time. I said the only things that separate you from the rest of my men is that the fact that you went to college, right? And you were giving a leadership position right out of school upon graduation. So let's start with that, right? So until you earn it, you're just going to be treated differently, from as far as where I'm coming from. But for new soldiers, to me, they're coming in, especially serving in a unit like 82nd Airborne, volunteering twice, wanting to serve our country where the rubber meets the road. A lot of them, come in to just want to serve the country, right? Some were inspired by 9/11, or maybe they were too young, but they were a lot of folks are inspired by patriotism that have joined the ranks. And I think perhaps a lot of my leadership principles I kind of learned from my dad, not really formally, but one of the things that he always talked to me about was loving your soldiers like you love your kids, right? And that's kind of the best way to exemplify that. It's like you love your kids, you're hard on them, you want to be successful, you allow them to fail, but never to a point where they're going to fall flat in their face and not recover from. And then when they make mistakes, you might scold them a little bit and then mentor them a little bit and get them back on their feet. So I've always kind of looked at that, and I have genuine love for you guys. I don't know what it is, but that's the bond that we had. And I remember like Kincaid, you guys remember Kincaid from Mortar Platoon, he was like, in Samara, he was actually shielding me physically when we had a couple of ops down there. He was shielding me with his body. I said, Kincaid, I said, you don't have to do that. I said, I would do the same for you, but I know you got to protect me, but I never expect you to take a bullet from me. But that's the stance that I kind of took, and it's also a double-edged sword because you know them and love them so much that when bad things happen, it's an indelible mark on your the rest of your life, right? I know you guys know these guys because you guys, Nick, I know we didn't have a lot of conversations. Dave, I remember that you were an E5 and you were very, very quiet, soft-spoken, and Buddy, we didn't have a lot of conversation. But certain guys, certain guys push the envelopes, right? You guys are saying, oh, I don't want to mess with 2P6. One guy that actually pushed the envelope, Justin Rollins.
Yeah,
he was a PFC. He was a PFC, and
Push
I
the
walked in
envelope
there,
with everybody.
yeah, and nobody would talk to me, right? And Justin would be throwing a couple of jokes out there. I'm like, this PFC's got some cojones. So I really like talking to him. I know a lot about his background. I'm still in touch with his mom. God bless her. And even like Drew Perkins, I still remember very clearly my conversation with him because I had met Mr. Perkins. Yeah, at All American Week before. That's why I hurt so bad, right? And then he was so smart, and I kept on saying, "Hey, Andrew, let me write you a letter of recommendation to go to OCS." And he's like, "Sir, I don't want to be an officer. Who wants to be an officer, right?" And so those conversations are still pretty much seared in my mind. Whether it's Doc Boyd or even Strickland. I don't know if you guys remember Strickland from DECO. I gave him an Article 15 for DUI, right? Like right before the deployment. I don't like doing that, but you got to uphold the standards. And he goes to combat, and he gets a Bronze Star with V. In one of those firefights, you remember the alleyway where you guys are getting shot from the roofs in all directions, when Buddy Ferris kind of led you down that alley.
Jihad night,
yeah, baby. Jihad night, yeah, exactly. But those
buddy,
are the
you didn't know about that, buddy.
Yeah,
Buddy was enjoying salsa night at Spiker while all that was happening.
Yeah, because that's where we stayed at Spiker. Also, that could be another question for the for the general would be how was it like trying to command a unit that was all over Iraq and not just in one place, because we were everywhere.
Yeah, we
prepped Bakuba for you, so.
No, you didn't. We cleared the entire thing. Not a huge deal.
No, that second platoon did that.
Yeah, second platoon.
Second platoon of Bravo Company, correct.
I tell you, it's the trust of the junior leadership. I don't know how else to say that, right? It's just the NCOs leading it. The squad leaders. You have good squad leaders, right? Mm-hmm. And good platoons, good platoon sergeants and good platoon leaders. You can really do anything, right? And we were everywhere. And you remember BECO was attached to 319th, and they were up in that door. They were doing an operation, and they got into a firefight, and a couple of and you guys probably don't know the story, but Dan Farrader, I think he's John Farrader. Yeah. Was that your platoon, bud?
Yeah. I was in Farrader's platoon.
But he was on leave.
Yeah, no.
But
no, that was probably the time. Anyway, there were a couple of them, but that stand out. One of them was when we started getting shot at, and I turned around, and it was when we first got there, and I was the squad leader. We had just dismounted. We were walking through Tikrit, and we started getting shot at, and I looked back, and my saw gunner was like twirling around, and the rounds were impacting at his feet. And we ran over to cover. We got cover, and we were looking for where the firing was come from. And I looked at him, and I was like, "Tell me the truth right now. Did you just have an ND into the ground?" Because as he was turning, moving, the bullets were actually hitting almost right where his barrel was. And I was like, "Brother, did you just have an ND? Like, we're gonna play this out, but did you just shoot? Was that you?" And he was like, "I promise you, that was not me." Yeah.
What Farrader told me, and you probably remember this, unless you were elsewhere, but he told me during one of the counseling sessions, I had him come down, and I always kind of go visit Bravo companies just to make sure that they know they're loved. But I went up there to talk to Farrader, and he told me, "Yes, sir. We were in a firefight, and and there's a couple of small islands, just right off the river there, and some of these guys had jumped in there and he swam towards the islands. And I said, so what you all do? He said, oh, we jumped into the water and started swimming after their ass, and then we smoked them, right? And then I guess the brigade talk was kind of shocked that they had done that, and the brigade is like, man, you guys are trying to act like you're a 2 Panther, and Faraday's like, we are a 2 Panther.
Yeah,
We're just,
that was
not
not only do I remember that, I was the first one into the water, and I had been told by a lieutenant, which I should have known when the lieutenant said it,
yeah,
not believe it, but I was like, oh, okay. The new plate carriers that we had were buoyant and they would float, and so I started going in the water.
Yeah.
And they might float, but they do not float with 4 or 5 grenades and a bunch
No.
of like
No.
double basic load on. So I went down and was like bouncing back up. Maybe that's where I started my diver training. But I bounced back up, and the guy behind me was Bobby Draves, and I still bust his balls for this to the day. I bounced back up and like reached up because I was about to drown, and I was like, Bobby. And he looked around and goes, somebody help him. And I ended up pulling myself out of the river. I looked at Bobby and I was like, my man, like, you're not going to like help me out? And he was like, I can't swim, Sarge. And I was like, you're from Florida. Like, how do you not? It's surrounded by water. How do you not swim? He's like, I just can't swim. And I was like, damn it. So we grabbed a boat. We swam across. Then there was a whole longer story, but we ended up burning a building. It exploded. EOD got mad. Bobby Draves yelled at EOD. It was what it was. But yeah, they were using those islands pretty. That's where they were building all their IED. Was right there.
Yeah.
In Adwar and Tikrit on those islands, because nobody went there until we went there, and then it became a pretty decent place to go get into a fight. That was for sure.
Yeah, but it's just. Were you in Woodcock's platoon as well? It was Woodcock.
Woodcock was actually, he was in my squad until right before we deployed. He ended up getting in trouble. Got that DUI.
Yeah.
So he moved. He moved from one platoon to another, and he was in first platoon when that happened. I ended up going to first platoon at the end of that deployment, but at the beginning he was in second, and then he went over to first. But Woodcock is also the only person that I know that got an Article 15 and busted down to private, and busted down to specialist.
Yeah,
he got his rank back, but in between getting busted down to specialist and becoming an E5 again, nobody called him Specialist Woodcock. Everyone called him Sergeant still.
Yeah. He's a really stud.
He's actually probably one of the best leaders I've ever seen in the Army, ever.
Yeah. I hate it. I remember that Article 15 very clearly, right? That's one of the unpleasant things that you get to do. But, you got that DUI division was like at that time really, really hard on DUIs. That should be probably because you're putting people's lives at risk. But
100%.
He was just hanging out with a couple of guys that like to drink, I won't say his last name, but Abel was one of the guys that got, his first name, but it was like, my God, guys, but he made it right back. But we lost a good man. I mean, very.
He was also one of those guys that like he took responsibility for it. He didn't make any apologies for it.
No.
He's like, yeah, I did it. I'm going to take it, but I'm going to keep doing. And he kept doing the same thing. He didn't let it. It didn't let it slow him down. So, and like I said, Woodcock was also one of the guys that I remember distinctly sitting at. There was an Iraqi camp that we used to go to before we did raids, and we were there doing rehearsals with the Iraqis, and we got done doing rehearsals, and everybody went over and was like eating bread and drinking tea and doing all the stuff that we normally did. And there was a squad that kept on doing rehearsals, and I looked over, and at one point I was like, who is the brown nosing dude that's over there trying to like spotlight and do his thing? And then I looked and saw that it was Woodcock, and I was like, oh, that's just Dan. That's just Dan being Dan.
Yeah.
Do rehearsals. All right, cool, whatever. And but yeah, that was the kind of guy he was. Like,
Yeah.
Memories, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
when the lieutenants and captains are brigade commanders now, that's pretty scary. So Adisa King, the former Alpha Company commander, he's commanding 3rd Brigade of the 25th, and then you guys remember Rick Turner? Rick
Yeah.
Turner,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
he just
Yeah,
gave up
we
command.
saw him on TV a couple times.
Yeah, he hands
he-
out Medal of Honor. Speaking of the Medal of Honor
Yeah.
guy, you just talk to him.
Yeah.
Just grab one up real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great leader.
He was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was a really good lieutenant.
Oh yeah.
When he was a lieutenant.
And shout out to 4th ID. They got Buddy Ferris, the DCO there now. Yeah.
Yeah. Buddy,
Yeah.
Buddy's
Turner was
doing
also
great.
very charismatic. He was super charismatic, and like also you could just tell genuine care for soldiers. I think, yeah, he was funny. Like
Yeah.
he was a stud too. That dude could run.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't know. I mean, he was so humble that, a lot of guys, they would drop names and do things like that, or kind of accentuate their accomplishments. But he was the first captain at West Point out of his year group, 2003, meaning he was the top military graduate. Never really talk about that at all. And usually those guys do pretty well in the military. And I'm glad that you decided to stay in for the whole trip. So yeah, great guy. Buddy's great too, and many others. Trent, what are you what are you up to? I know did you retire last year?
I did. I retired. So it's great you bring that up because now they're all going to make fun of me. I went into recruiting back in 2010, or it was 2010. I went into
Quitter.
recruiting and was doing my 3-year stint in recruiting, and then actually became the top recruiter in the nation. So I'm gonna show off a little bit with like the most
Man,
enlistments for the year,
out
and they
of
offered me.
Fayetteville, bro.
They
Out
offered
of
me.
Fayetteville.
That's equivalent
Out of
to being
Fayetteville.
that's literally the
Just
equivalent
wait.
to being
See,
the
there we go.
best-
There we go.
I was the top pogue in all the army. Not a huge deal.
I got
but,
my recruiter ring. I got my gold badge. I got all that stuff. But anyway,
they took me. They sent me to camps to buy all the.
See what you
tobacco
started?
products
See what
from
you
the real
started?
That's a
people.
nice setup. I set him up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you did. You did.
and then they
I
offered
was
me a
I was on
conversion,
2 posters. No big
and
deal.
I ended up taking the conversion. I was like, you know what? This is really fun.
Yeah.
Obviously missed Tyler's birth, because we were in Samara, and then
Yeah.
Haley was born. And I was kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I converted to recruiting, and then they sent me out to Ohio. I ran a station out there, sent me back to Fayetteville, ran Fayetteville Station, then got promoted to first sergeant, came out here and retired in Phoenix. Yep.
What they call converting transitioning when you're going from
Yeah, it's
another
transition.
Bravo
No, you call
to a
it a
recruiter
conversion.
forever.
You call it a
Yeah.
Is that a
conversion.
transition?
That's a military. No.
I think there's a
No,
surgery.
How many
involved.
how many drugs did you have to take to
Converting from your
actually?
MOS into another MOS. It's a conversion.
Yeah,
It's
how
not a
many
transition.
hormones did they have to pump into for you to admit that you did the
Yeah.
right thing? I don't know.
So I'm retired now, and in real estate, loving life out here in Arizona. The kids are all here. Yeah, so we're doing really well.
Yeah, well, good for you. I think there's still a few. I saw Wise just I don't remember Wise. Doc
retired.
Wise.
Yep.
He was with you, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's just retired. And then we got Davenport's like a sergeant major now, command sergeant major in
Yeah, he's out in Korea.
Korea. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ford's a sergeant major. Ford's
Yeah. What's he doing
I
now?
was talking.
Ford and I went to airborne school together. Yeah.
I was in
What's
I was
Ford
in his
doing now?
office last year.
Yeah, what's he gonna do? Has he been selected for a nominated
I
position?
haven't.
Or-
talked
I don't know. I don't
him
talk to
since
him like that.
List came
Yeah.
out. I haven't talked since the list came out. But I was in his office and I was laughing. I was like, "Didn't you get an Article 15 in this office once?" He's like, "Yeah, I think so." It's like, now your feet are up on the desk of it, and I'm like, "It's beautiful." Like,
Oh boy,
so-
Was
didn't think-
Bill Blaisdell still there when in Charlie Company when we went? He's
Who?
Who?
Blaisdell.
Blaisdell. He's
Bill
big time.
Blaisdell.
Yeah, he was 25th. Sergeant
Yeah,
major.
well, he's like I think he's the UCOM sergeant major now. Like
Mhm.
he's or
Even
something.
old CD.
Yeah. Super good dude.
Yeah, I wasn't tracking Blaisdell, but Nick Ford. I mean, you guys remember what happened, right? I didn't think he was going to make it. I mean, that's that's a miracle, right? And God was
Yep.
looking out for him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Then I don't know
injured
if
for
you're
a while
tracking.
too. Yeah.
I don't know if you're tracking the story with Bouchard in
I do not
Afghanistan.
know. I do not know Bouchard. I mean,
You know
what
Bouchard?
happened? What happened to Bouchard? Well, Bouchard was
Well, he
my
was part-
PSD. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we were in Afghanistan, and he was a weapons squad leader, and he gets shot in the head. And I remember, this is a guy that he got blown up, on out of Alpha Company.
Yeah.
And then there was a towed parachutist. And then, he's in Afghanistan, he gets shot in the head, but it doesn't penetrate the helmet, but it knocks him out. And his platoon sergeant pulled him off the berm he was on in the firefight. And when they rolled over, they went down a 30-foot crevasse.
Jeez.
And punctured his lungs and broke his legs. And then the platoon sergeant, they were both. And then we responded to it, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't thankfully the platoon sergeant could still talk a little bit, but Bouchard was knocked out, and we were starting to dig, while the firefight's still going on. It's what do we do here? And then thankfully the platoon sergeant, he's like, just drop something that I can tie a Swiss seat around Bouchard. We got to get him out. He's in trouble. Right. And a Black Hawk came over and dropped the hoist right down that Carez, and he was able to hook him up and get him out of there. That guy, he used up all 9 lives in the Army, man.
How's he doing now?
By the way, is the 5th Corps Sergeant Major.
Okay, I got to reach out to him. That's terrific.
Yeah.
How's Bouchard doing now, Nick?
I'll have to re-engage with him again. The last time I talked to him was probably about a year and a half ago. So I'll reach out to him again now that he's crossed my mind again.
That's a story I haven't heard. He was part of my PSD, so he was the gunner for then Lieutenant Al Gore. So I always ride number 2, and they ride the lead in our PSD, and I watch him drop. I watched that vehicle got on Tampa broadsided by 2 155 rounds rigged on an IED, and he got dropped from the turret. I'm like, oh fuck, he's done, right? So it was at night too, and he ended up only getting a concussion, but he's lived through all that. I mean,
he's lived through a lot.
That guy's awesome. That guy's an awesome trooper. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and then I ended up taking that platoon from them on that deployment, but it was I knew he was your PSD. I was like, I didn't know if you heard about when he fell down a well in Afghanistan. It's it was just wild, John the head then falls well, absolutely insane. But it's and then Doc Wise, I just was with him, and we had a really pretty good. We linked up in Hawaii, and then we linked up at the Sergeant Major's Academy, and our daughters became friends, and I just out in San Antonio, so he started his terminal leave, and he's ready to bounce. So he had a really good career.
He's chilling by the pool now.
Yeah,
I saw a post the other day. Yep, good for him, man. He deserves it.
Yeah.
But,
I didn't get a chance.
What are you doing now? Now that you're
he's a cowboy now. He's a cowboy fan.
Yeah. There's another Vietnamese guy. Also, he was born in the same refugee camp I was in. You guys know Dot Nguyen? Have you heard of Dot? Play for the Cowboys.
Yeah, the linebacker. Yeah,
linebacker. He's All-American out of Texas A&M, and you guys know I'm a huge USC fan, and so I'm very anti Sarkisian, right? Because he had a chance to coach us to greatness, and then he failed. And he's also a former Texas Tech quarterback, and I keep on rewatching the clip of my friend destroying him in the backfield during one of those games. And Dot, was born in Fort Chaffee, the same refugee camp that I stayed in, and grew up in Texas City near Houston, and was told his whole life, too small to be playing football. And he overcame all that, and he's a great Christian, very strong Catholic background, like my family, and a lot of resilience, right, and a lot of hard work, and ended up playing for A&M and the Cowboys. And last year we had a team spirit day at work, and I wore Cowboys number 59 with the win in the back, and nobody knew who that was. So I had to text them and say, hey,
Wow, really?
nobody knew who
I'm
number 59 was. Yeah. So they're all the
I'm
new
a football
generation, right?
guru, so I
Yeah.
knew exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I'm in tech now, Dave, to answer your question.
Nice. Nice.
It's with our company, we're trying to build the next AI chip, and it's all on the edge. We're not competing with NVIDIA. And again, I'm not a tech guy, right? I did have a science degree when I was, graduating from college, but I'm not a tech guy. But I got a deep appreciation for tech, because I think in terms of what I saw in the Pacific, in terms of what the CCP and those guys were doing, and the Russians were also back in the Pacific, by the way. A lot of people don't know that, right? So up in the Kurils, all those contested territories with Japan, they got divisional forces up there with like pretty advanced, systems up there for both reconnaissance and strike capabilities. So I think innovation and technology is where we can actually gain the advantage with our adversaries. And again, deterrence is the key, right? Nobody wants to go to a full-out nuclear war with anybody, but as long as we can save lives and scare them from doing anything, I think it's great. So I just that's what I do now.
Nice.
Yeah, well, that was
fun. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of fun.
Takes
well,
you
I
back
guess
to memory lane, right? Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, anytime you want to come on and shoot the shit with us, you're always more than welcome. And like I said, this is our therapy. Those of you
Sure.
watching the first for the first time or listening for the first time, we can't say some of the words, I think, because we're live on TikTok right now, so I don't think we can say some of the words. But we started this to stop people from taking their lives during COVID, specifically around active duty, and then veterans, just to give them a place to come out and BS about. It's always tough to go down memory lane, but since we've had this podcast, it's been extremely easy to go down memory lane, to me at least, and talk about it and honor our buddies that and just tell good stories about them.
Yeah.
And so yeah, quick little hot wash on the show. Somebody up in the UP went missing. We don't know why, but I don't think anybody really cares. But he is a psychologist in Washington now. So if you're going to see that guy, I hope you're not paying too much, because this dude just already seems out there. Well, maybe he's a guru. I don't know.
I mean,
and then
good thing you might not have to pay him for up to a year. Apparently,
yeah, exactly.
Just go missing.
He might disappear. He might disappear. Yeah, and we at Veteran Trash Talk, we're a team of action. So when one of our battle buddies comes up with a problem or is triggered, we do our best to solve it for them. Buddy was triggered by his package, so the VTT went to work.
Triggered by the package. I was triggered.
We went to work and we found the damn package. All right, that is how far VTT will go for you if you are part of this community. We will track down the package to who was the last person to sign it, all right, or scan it. So we did that. We did that for Buddy. We'll do that for anybody. And then we had our old battalion commander, old 2P6, which if you see his name on the screen, if you follow him on social media, one thing you'll notice is he's always promoting really good things that are happening. He's always commenting on things that his soldiers or his peers were doing, and it helps you stay connected. It helps you see what everybody else is doing. And he truly was a leader to us, a leader to many. And again, he carries a tremendous weight that I will tell people all the time that I do not have to carry. But it truly was an honor to have you on here. Glad you accepted it. And just know that you were loved by a lot of people, and that we did fight hard, and we would have fought for another 2 or 3 years over there with you if you had asked us to. So it was absolutely a tremendous thing. So that's the AAR, and I'll give the last words to General Luong, and then let Faceman close it out.
Yeah. So just a couple things. First of all, I want to go back to Dave Trenton's PSA at the beginning. Was right. Incredibly important area. A lot of us are not only struggling with ourselves, but struggling with trying to help our friends. So my first point is stay engaged, right? And secondly is the self-admission. I didn't seek any help until 2 years after I retired. just kind of kept with it the whole time. So the importance of self-admission and not worry about the stigma and all. And the second one's an asker. So before we leave, I just I can ask you guys to salute the Rakkasan colors if you guys want to do that.
I don't think that I could give the Rakkasan salute on TikTok. I think we might get banned because it has something to do with me taking my pants off. So
okay, I get it.
All I know is John Wayne played your position. All right, he didn't play anybody in the Rakkasan's position.
Nah,
all right,
I didn't even, were they even in D-Day? I don't even remember.
No. Yeah, I think that's the last time they were airborne. I don't know, something like that.
Opening myself up. Yeah.
Yeah, when are you gonna get in touch with the rest of the generals and take the airborne tab away from the 101st? It's getting
That's what we should do before any other award. We need to take away that tab.
Get the award
thing. Petition, dude. Let's do it.
And the
it's
fact
historical,
that
man.
Boots,
it's historical.
Vomit in my mouth.
Yeah, but I was asking for that. But no, really, thank you so much for the opportunity, and always held you guys in my heart. Love you all, and stay in touch, stay engaged. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks again. Like Nick mentioned earlier, we had to strap on our boots again, and you were like, "Hey, we need to do this." It'd be an honor. It'd be an honor. For anybody that turned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. You can check out all the links to our channels. Go to shop.VeteranTrashTalk.com, or you can scan that QR code. Today I'm wearing Let's Get the Demon Out by Veteran Trash Talk. It's one of our OG shirts. It helps promote the cause. Nick is wearing an OG shirt as well, Veteran Trash Talk. We got a bunch more. Yep, we got a bunch more on the site. So check them out. Go to YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Give us a like. We are shadow banned on YouTube, but it's great to get the content and the message out there so we can continue promoting veteran-owned businesses for free. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Love y'all. Faceman VTT out. Boom.
Take care.